college soccer guy, the coaches aren't responding to me. They just never respond to me. It's getting ridiculous. How am I ever going to play college soccer? I'm the college soccer guy, and I'm here to help you play college soccer. Let's get into how to deal with coaches that don't respond to you. So this is going to happen if you're doing the recruiting process, and if you're doing it correctly, this should happen a lot, which is good because it means you're emailing schools. And you're like, why aren't I getting responded? Why aren't they responding to me? Let's talk about the different ways that they're probably not. First of all, if you're using NCSA, Scouting Zone, Sports Recruits, whatever company you're using, that's number one. They're not responding because they don't like those websites. So you can still email through those websites, and I'm not saying they won't sometimes respond, but if you want a much better feedback response, send it through your own email. So that's number one. Please send it through your own email. Okay, then if that's not the reason, okay, say you're sending it through your own email, then probably your email template is, excuse my French, effed up. So we got to fix it. Odds are, just traditionally speaking when I work with students, you have nothing genuine about the other coaches. If you have nothing genuine about the other coaches, the chance of you getting recruited reduces so much. So that's number one. Number two, you probably talked about yourself way too much. It's probably a long paragraph. There's no indents. There's no spacing. And coaches hate reading block paragraphs. They do not want to skim through that. You need to make their life easy. It should be about 4 to 5 paragraphs with 2 to 3 sentences in each paragraph and quick to the point with the most important information. The other reason they're not responding is your video is not good. So that doesn't mean you're not a good soccer player. Okay, that could be another reason they're not responding. But most of you who I speak to are pretty good soccer players. Like when you send me your information and you apply for a call, I'm like, wow, this is a really good soccer player. How come they're not getting any responses? It's usually your video is not good, or the other options I talked about. So if your video isn't good, what's wrong with your video? Could be you don't have a self-interview, which most of you don't because I'm the first one talking about it. A coach's interview, which is optional but really, really helpful. The very beginning of your video does not have the most important aspects, your GPA, your team level, your position, or you've put like 1,000 accolades so it's impossible to read or see anything on the screen. Or your first minute of your clips are really poorly ordered or are so blurry coaches can't even see what's going on, or you don't have circles, or it's just ultimately a really ill put together highlight video. Now, when I work with my students, I of course fix all of these things, and that probably helps with 40 to 60% of us getting way more responses. And that's where my students you can talk to them. I have references for you, and you can see that they get so many more responses when we fix those aspects and we combine them together. Now, let's say you've done it all perfectly, okay? You got a pretty good video, you got a pretty good email template, you even said something genuine, and you're still not getting responses. Then you need to call me because then there's still something else you're doing wrong and I need to see what it is. But let's say you get a response and you respond back with, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the showcase. Can I shake your hand in person? Which is a template that we use and it works really well, but you don't hear back from them. Or you've emailed them a couple times, but then it's been like 6 months since you've heard from them. You haven't really emailed them yourself because they said they'd follow up with you, or you have emailed them, but it's been really brief and you don't really know what to say, and they've quote unquote ghosted you. What are you going to do? So when you've been ghosted, this is the template I want you to use. First of all, you need to give them value, okay? So that means you need to send them video or something. You can't just be like, hi coach, haven't heard from you for a while. What are you doing? Especially phrasing it like that's not going to help your case. You need to say, coach, I just want to give you a brief update. I've attached some video below. May I confirm you're still looking for a blank for the X blank position? I just wanted to politely follow up. I have not heard back from you. I understand you're very busy. Thanks so much for your time. So you should reference the point that you have messaged them many times and have not heard back. You should say that. And you should give them some value. Give them some more video. Most of the time, I would say like 80 to 90% of the time, my students get a response from that type of email because the coaches are like, oh, you followed up with me twice, which means you care. So I've already put you in a category above 70% of the other people that have emailed me. Second, I got busy. I'm a coach. I've got a whole bunch of aspects. I've got 30 players I'm managing. I've got to work on my recruits. I've got my own family. I'm also coaching club soccer. They're so busy. So a follow-up is lovely. And then you've sent them more video and they're like, oh, I remember your highlight video. This is quite good. This is more video. I like this. I forgot that I like this player. I just, I got busy. And they followed up with me. That's great. I need them to come to an ID camp. Or you know what? What's their showcase schedule? Now all of a sudden the conversation is back alive. So if you really need to get the conversation back to life, the best way to do that is to follow up and send value. You need to send an every touch video. Now, you may say, well, I'll just update them with my highlight video. If you've already sent them your highlight video, they do not want more highlights, okay? They have already seen the appetizer. They're like, oh, that grilled octopus is delicious. Thank you for sending me the appetizer. That's what a highlight video is. They're willing to come into your restaurant. Now, you have to give them a meal upon a meal upon a meal. So many meals. And that's really what an every touch video is, because it tells so much more about you as a person, as a player. And extra points, what I have my students do is we give not only every touch video, which is every single touch you took in that game, edited, so there's nothing else, just every touch you took. And you write down the timestamps of every time you touch the ball. So if the coach looks at the every touch video and goes, hey, like I quite like this kid, I'm going to go now, but I want to see what happened like 10 seconds before or 30 seconds after this play right here. They can go through your timestamps and go, I'm just going to watch some of this game and skip to these seconds and minutes and go, oh, wow. And now all of a sudden, just so you know, especially with Division III schools, you can get recruited on video alone. Okay, that means to play college soccer and potentially earn a scholarship of $80,000 could cost you $0, okay? You could literally not have to go to an ID camp. You could just send video and you could just email them and it would cost you $0. I mean, and you're like, and you're like, well, where's the scholarship? Well, if you have above a 3.5 GPA, you're almost guaranteed a scholarship of at least $10,000 to $15,000 a year, depending on what school you pick. And that's just academic. And if it happens to be an athletic school, they will need to see you in person before they give you a scholarship, but they'll be a lot more likely to do so. Now, if you're talking about an NAI school or even a JUCO, like I know many students that just are doing JUCOs, they're getting scholarships just through video. And so are NAI schools, and so are smaller level Division III schools. So now you get to basically get a scholarship and it costs you $0 other than making your video, which in nowadays time, you can hire somebody for $20. You can do it yourself probably. And so it costs you nothing. So this whole I can't afford to play college soccer thing, I don't really buy. Other than going to college, that costs money, of course. But traditionally speaking, there are platforms, there are scholarships you can apply for. I'm not saying it's easy. But from a soccer perspective, there's really no excuse to not play college soccer. So if you want help, please give me a call. Link's in the bio, and we can talk a little bit more about what you need to do in your situation so that way you actually are getting responses or what's going on and why you're not getting responses. Look, if you're a good soccer player, then something's just not, you're doing something wrong because coaches like good soccer players. So give me a call. Link's in the bio, and I'll talk to you soon.